Welcome to Novel. This is your first BI Scrum, I assume. We have first this we will go through the chapters. Just a short summary. For Airbnb, we're seeing improvements like from the previous week. However, there is a slight decrease on the middle to lower funnel. However, it's not a trend yet, so it's still safe to assume that it's still improving. However, for Booking.com opportunities, I believe we don't really have, based on the previous campaign, we don't really have any visibility for the conversion rate yet from the view to number of bookings. So it's not really clear on that part. However, for Facebook marketing, um, we see that yeah, the number of reservation is actually has actually dropped, but the number of inquiries actually increasing by a little bit. While for agent sales, it's up quite stagnant. For it's been quite a while since I think Joseph, as the campaign manager, since he left, it's quite stagnant. For Instagram campaign, it needs some help, I think, and I believe Kagani will have more discussion with me for the optimization for the Instagram campaign. But we saw a lot of improvement last week actually in the reservation and conversion part. However, this week it's not a trend yet because this week it's not been proven yet. So that's the short summary for the cost chapter campaign. And maybe we can start with the personal updates from Lilis.
Thank you, Fidi. Actually, I have put the no update label there,
Yes.
but actually, I'm still repricing for some properties. And my activity other than this is actually helping with the other campaign, like Instagram and also websites. And so I don't have any new initiative yet for BI, still optimizing the current activity specifically. Thank you, Fidi.
Yes, thank you very much, Lilis. And I also believe that Lilis is also auditing prices from like the previous adjustment.
Yes, I think mostly in region one and region one with Fira basically because related to the website campaign.
Yes. Thank you very much, Lilis, for the update. Maybe any questions for Lilis for her updates today? None. If there are none, then we'll move to Fides Pivot. For my update, actually this past week I've been focusing on product development tasks that is related to BI, particularly finance and also Toki. And I've attached the implementation ideas or the steps as well as the deadlines for Toki itself. For Toki price pushing, actually we have to perform a proof of concept so such that we are able to progress with the next step. However, for the finance system, actually, the algorithm is already well set. I believe you can find it in the product development Trello card basically, and we are moving towards the development stage now, such that the finance operational will just follow the algorithm according to what is provided by the system, and I believe it will provide us with a clearer picture of the finance status in Bukit Vista. But for the other two tasks and initiative, there are no updates. For BI B52, actually, from both Andre and also Aldo, they mentioned that Traveloka is really slow. We've tried contacting them and so on and so forth. Therefore, we are asking for a virtual online meeting so that we can make things clear quicker. So that's the update for that one. So maybe any questions for my updates? None. If there are none, then maybe we'll move to Fira's pivots.
Okay, thank you. Actually, about my my updates is I'm not writing it on the activity comments, but it's on the picture that I attach. So yeah, I got one more booking in the last few days, and yeah, the web since we haven't we just published the what is it the ads just I think yesterday or today. So the website view is decreasing. It becomes 191 from 400. It becomes 275 from 400 466. Yeah, and the request to book is actually increasing. I got two more requests to book last week, and I see a pattern in here since since we haven't uh, have any ads in the last 2 weeks, but we constantly got bookings on weekends, and it mostly they book for the luxury properties. So yeah, I think we have an opportunity in luxury properties, but I found a friction that the what is it the guests mostly book for the lot 3, 5, and 6, and some of them canceled their booking because we have no more supply on that, and also yeah, the revenue is increasing since the last week we got only 7.3 million, and yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Fira. Just a little bit. A good job on converting the deal for lottery. That's a quite a huge deal. However, the reporting. Actually, I have a little bit of comment. I have a question about the reporting for funnel A, website page view. I don't see how it could be like. Why does it go down? Like, I mean, it should always increase, right? No, because you always.
Uh, mm. Okay, you can continue, maybe.
Oh yeah. So that one, because for example, like if you measure from a certain date and then you measure up until now, the page view will always increase, right? The number.
I believe it's decreasing because the last update that I put is the number of website when it's on ads. So this is the number of website when it's we haven't published any
I
ads
see.
yet.
So you reset the counter then.
Sorry.
You reset the counter. You reset everything.
Yes.
You start from zero. So the number of reservation is 2+1. So there are 3 reservations from website already.
To reservation.
Okay, that's what's confusing actually, Fira, because you reset some of the funnel, and then but some of the funnels are not reset. Like the number of requests to book is 6, and then +2 becomes 8, right? But the website page view from 466 should be added by the progress. Like so from that point on, that number until now, how much? And then for revenue, like it's 7,300,000, right? Before, and then you got a deal for how much is the lottery deal?
42 million.
I see. Yeah, so it's plus 42 million, right? No? Yeah. So just maybe a little bit on the reporting. Maybe Lilis, yeah, cumulative, correct. Lilis mentioned it. Should be cumulative from the start. So maybe just adjustment on the reporting structure, and maybe if you have questions, you can ask Lilis or me or anyone in the BI team, basically.
Okay, thank you. I'll revise it later.
Okay, thank you very much, Afira. Maybe from others, any questions? Yes, sir.
That's exactly it. Thank you, Vidi. That's exactly what I noticed. Currently, wait. Okay, thank you. We're unable to determine if your statistics at the bottom of funnel are getting better or worse if the top of funnel keeps on changing, right? So if you went from, let's say the request conversion rate is 2.9%, but is it actually 2.9% given the cumulative record? That part we don't know. There is wisdom in what Fira is doing in the sense that she can compare a before ad and an after ad, but I think that needs to be a frame separate, right? So that can be like an A/B test, right? What was the frame before? What's the frame after? So in that set, you would not accumulate the entire results. You would do like a cutoff, and these are all the results that I got with using ads, and these are all the results I got without using ads. But it's hard to know too as well, because when you get to the lower funnel, did it come from an ad or did it come in organically? So that becomes hard to measure. This is why we keep the cumulative record too as well, Fira. It's just, yeah, easier to track over time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jing. And maybe any other question? none. If there are none, then thank you very much for the update, Fira, and congratulations on your deal.
Hmm.
Next, we'll move to Naval's pivot. Maybe Naval can update your progress, Naval.
Thank you, Vidi. So as you guys know, I am I'm on my fourth day here in Bukit Vista as official intern in BI. So Shalin asked me to learn a lot about the general knowledge of Bukit Vista and also the specific knowledge of the BI team. Uh, and I believe I already learned something in the general knowledge, but Lilis just give me the access today, so I haven't learned about the BI specifically knowledge. And then Lilis give me the first task is to evaluate the performance of the Facebook marketing and agent sales. So basically, I have to identify the problems and give out the suggestion of the two campaign, and then give out to Lilis. So so basically that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Naval. So, yeah, good luck on your learning progress. And maybe there are any question. Are there any questions for Naval? Maybe I have one question. So should we make it official in the Scrum? Like who's the mentor for Naval? Is it Mr. Jing and me, or Mr. Jing and or Lilith, something like that? Like
Oh,
because
right.
it's not
That's a
official
good
yet,
point.
right?
That's a good point. I'll be the official mentor for Naufal in project management, and I'm proposing that Vidi can be the official mentor for doing business intelligence activity. So those are somewhat. You might actually have a superset, and I might be a subset then. In that regard, also, this goes up to Lilith. I don't see any designated delegation cards for Naufal right now. So this is a bit different than what's happening across some of the other chapters. So he has his own orientation, but he hasn't been essentially delegated any task. This one also, I believe, is a drawover from community. I think I need to understand if Naufal's wait, Dave is working on the community. Okay, you're right. That could be why. But is Naufal being delegated any SLAs at the moment, Lilith?
Yes, as I wrote that I asked Nofar first to evaluate the performance of two campaigns. Actually, one of them will be delegated to Noval. I would like to see the what is that, the competence and also the capacity and also the interest of Novel
Okay,
between these two campaigns. So that will be delegated to Noval basically.
that sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, all right, cool.
Okay. So for your task, Lilith, when do you expect to see the feedback from Naval?
Uh, Saturday. This Saturday.
Saturday. Okay, sure. That's superb. Then maybe if Miss Secretary, could you add that on the activity, as well as I will Fidi will set up a meeting with Nafal regarding the mentorship. Thank you very much, Miss Secretary. Then, if there are no more questions from everybody else for Nafal, and David is not present. If you look at David's card, there are no updates yet for David. But okay, so this time for David, but David is not here, so it's a bit awkward. But I'll be the mentor for David too, right?
I think
Is it
so.
official?
Yeah, for because they're both in finance and they report. Or actually, that's up to you, Vidi. You can delegate that to, or you can delegate across the list, or however. It might be. Oh, I'll let you guys take care of it. It's a BI thing, right? They
Okay,
belong to the BI chapter at the moment.
noted. Then maybe Miss Secretary, could you help me to also write down in David's activity card that Fidi will arrange a meeting with David. Okay, thank you very much. And to Mr. Jing, your list is empty. Do you have any updates, actually?
I have no updates actually. Thank you.
Updates. Okay, thank you very much. And yep, that's the end of the personal updates. Maybe we could look at the meeting notes by Fira.
Um, okay, can you see it, everyone? Okay. So from wait, I'm sorry, it's a bit lagging. From today's meeting, we started from the campaign overview. Airbnb, they're still improving but not seeing trend yet, and Facebook also the agent sales, and also the Instagram campaign that needs help. And also from personal update from Kalilis, there is no big update, and she's repricing region one. Also from Kafidi, there's he's working on product development and BI project, which is the finance system, and also the Tokit. From Tokit project, about the price pushing. It currently is perform the content, also the from finance. The progress is until the algorithm is already well set, and from the travel card, it's the progress is quite slow. Also, from my update is there's one more reservation, and also I will revise the what is it the funnel update, and also from novel learn general knowledge of Bukit Vista, and the first he got the first task to analyze Facebook marketing and agent sales, and VD will setting up novel David. Also from Mr. Jing asking about the SLA delegation to novel, and also Kalilis will delegate SLA to novel from the task that she has given. Does anything missing?
Mm, that's that. Yeah. Evaluation. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Maybe any more missing points could be added directly to the meeting notes. Thank you very much for the summary.
Sure. Oh,
Okay, now next to Viva Analytics. Actually, there are some interesting things that I would like to point out in the Viva Analytics. First, regarding the booking pace, I just checked yesterday for the range of the first to the 9th or 10th of the month. Actually, it's much dense. It's denser than October, so that's interesting on one side, but I'm not sure why, actually, the reason. Maybe it's signs of recovery, but we're also seeing that we already reached a total of, I believe, 60,000 for both November and December, while this is still the 11th of November. But I'm noticing something that in December, we are still like the growth for December happens on October, but since October the growth is slowing down. I think Lilis mentioned this, but one of the growth factor for December is the Christmas and New Year, and the supply is running low, especially in region one. And there are two options here to optimize or give motivation for people to actually book guest houses or provide more supply for villas. From the observation, that's where this comes in. In the insights part actually, wait, I think KPI company and the growth. I saw that the revenue for no, not growth, squad revenue growth. I saw that the growth for squad two is actually the revenue for squad two is actually getting is improving by a lot these past months. Let's just see this for let's say. Yep, it improved and it's getting closer to squad one. There's still potential in this one. Do you see a lot of bookings for guest houses, Lilis?
Yes, I see like many long-term bookings for guest houses in Canggu and also Luatu.
Yes. So that's where the queue comes in. This is just my opinion, but maybe other the other can also pitch in for this one. But if we're saying that there is still desirability for guest houses and we still have to supply for the one, shouldn't we pump for given the allocation of resource? Shouldn't we pump for the selling of guest houses or because getting new supply is more resource exhaustive, um, is more demanding than pulling up demands. What do you think?
Mm, yeah, I think it will be interesting, like making some not really campaign, but perhaps like advertisement related directly to guest houses. I mean,
Yes.
currently we are doing the, what is that, the Facebook marketing, but actually we don't really specify for guest houses. Perhaps the structure of the no, the structure of the advertisement can be, what is that, improve into guest houses. But finding supply is also still ongoing, right? By
Yes.
the marketing teams, and
Right.
yeah, that's for me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe Mr. Jing. Yep.
Okay. I talked with Bayu about this, and we both came to a same conclusion. So I wanted to pass this by. Um, we believe that actually the best thing you can do at the moment is to focus on supply. And
Mhm.
the reason for that is there's a few. Guest houses are a commodity, they're tuna. So you don't need to put up ads. People will just gravitate towards the cheapest guest house. They'll do their own sort of research to find their own deals. Raising awareness doesn't necessarily create any type of extraordinary value for that one. Um, if you want long-term guest houses stays, then just make sure that the price is good and that it is framed in a way that it's safe. But on a more strategic note, we have an opportunity to acquire all the supply in Bali now, if you want, right? And the way we can do that is it's a positive feedback loop. So remember, years ago when we got La Jolla had 0 guests, but when they started getting guests, we were the primary means at which they got guests. That started a feedback loop. More guests leaving reviews creates more guests again, and so on and so forth. So strategically speaking, if we want to now acquire all the supply that we never had before, then the smartest thing we can do, that I believe, is to acquire as much supply as we can. When you get the supply up on the recovery phase, you will get it years later when they are stabilized because you've driven that positive feedback cycle first. And whoever drives the positive feedback cycle first generally will get you'll generally stay in place. Okay. So what I thought about is this: as we ease out of the bad times, right? The key is to bring as much connection as possible between any supply that we can get, because on a platform like Airbnb, the virtue of the supply gets you the demand. So if you have the supply, you will get the demand, and then that demand will drive further demand, and pretty soon you will have control over the supply. So, which brings us to kind of another point. It could be a pretty good time to think about expansion and growth in Bali at this point. It is a locked-in cycle. Once you get that cycle locked into a particular supply, it is hard to get out of. It is hard for somebody else to get out of that dependency to you, but it is also hard for you to get into a supply that is being represented by another person that is locked in because of positive feedback too as well. So it is a really unique turning point time, and it allows us to essentially, if we can get the right supply in, we can hold out the supply for the next 3 to 5 years or even longer.
Yep. Yep. Thank you for the suggestion and also the discussion, sir. So, actually thought about it, but I also thought about the cost of getting more supply.
It's worth it, I think, Vidi, because the cost of any supply right now, it's like essentially buying stocks, right? So you're essentially are buying stocks in product that nobody wants to consume very much at the moment. But likely, if you start your positive feedback cycle on it, one, it locks it in, which is good because then that becomes a permanent income source for a long time. And two, there's no other better chance in history to get this actually started. This is once in a decade, probably once in 2 decades opportunity. Most of the reasons why we cannot work with great supply in the past has been they have their own bookings, right? They have their own bookings, so how are we ever going to get our bookings onto their calendar? But this is the big reset. So everything is flattened to 0 now. They don't have any bookings. So if we can get that supply in, then we can be the reason other people cannot get access to that supply when things start getting better.
Right.
So whatever it is it is an investment and it does pay off very, very well later on. So
Yes.
currently, I'm already making some moves to make this happen, right? So we have the field canvassers. They're bringing in short-term partnerships. The short-term partnerships need to be developed into long-term partnerships
Yep.
as much as possible. Then we need to get HAR ready to convert all the inquiries, but they need to be converted on platform so that the platform starts creating us that positive feedback cycle. And once that happens, then we've locked in, hopefully, a monopoly in a lot of different areas where it just becomes Bukit Vista has all the demand, so that's where all the supply goes, and it becomes this network effect that really, really gets us out. So it's worthwhile to invest in that.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, the interesting part is actually the part where we converted to long-term partners. Because do we have a system in community yet to maintain these partners? And
that's why I asked you guys to think about that.
yes,
Because the current system is we have the current danger right now, Vidi Lillis, is this is exactly what happened the last cycle, right? On Bukit Vista 2. So things were coming out of recession, things were picking up, Airbnb was brand new, not a lot of people knew about it. So we were able to grow extremely quickly during that phase because there was 0 bookings and we got hundreds and thousands of bookings. So that was a real good time. The part where we failed on that particular cycle is we did not convert enough temporary partnerships into long-term partnerships, right? So then what happened was that we would have very bad guest experiences because calendars were not locked in, we didn't get allocation, everybody saying things are cool, but things are not cool, and then we get frequent overbookings and bad guest experience. And ultimately that led to another block in the growth.
yep,
The essential factor right now, for my belief, is that if you have the supply, the right demand will come. If you have the key supply, the pool villas in Seminyak, the places that are good for doing sort of a remote lifestyle in Canggu, the cliff villas along Uluwatu. These are all the things that are universally desirable no matter what time of year it is. So if you can lock that in now, then you have that for a long time. We're going to have to develop what that funnel looks like, actually. We're going to have to develop, okay, what is the moment a partner first is knowledgeable about us? When do they make their first approach? How do we turn them into a short-term partner? How do we move them down that funnel into a long-term partner?
yep,
That
yep.
is outside of the ZPD of community at the present moment.
Yes. Yeah. That's the risk I'm talking about. That's why if we consider the yeah, but of course, if BI is able to optimize it, then of course we should focus on supply. Yeah, but get it.
That's exactly the strategy.
That's a concern. That's why because there are risks and implications that might yeah. But anyway, back to the growth, we're seeing that we're at 89.5. So yesterday during all hands, I believe it's still at 90 point something, but now it's already at 89.5, which is 0.3% away from 89.2. Showing and we still have about 19 days until the end of the month. Yeah, so that's also a good thing. And also I saw that in the audience, I mean the guest origin, we're still seeing growth in Indonesian guests at 17%. So I think it's still a trend. It's a trend, of course. We've seen it since last quarter, but that's something to be to keep on our eye on. And for cancellation pace, there have been some cancellations actually, but it's not. It wasn't like last month or last 2 months ago where the revenue kind of stagnate because currently, even though there are cancellations, the revenue still improves. So that's also a good sign. Okay, maybe anybody else wants to look at any other thing in this analytics? Yes, sir.
Can we look at the insights and look at the price scatter plot and see what we're doing?
Yes.
For that, yeah.
Price scatter plot.
And perhaps also the check-in graph. Oh, wow. Okay, so Christmas is really taking off, yeah?
Yep.
Density of bookings, high prices of bookings. Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, that's why we need to get more supply, right? Because there's probably supply that there is demand that we can't see right now because we don't have the supply.
Yes. And what other things, sir? One more thing.
The check-in, I think it's in the coronavirus monitoring, but it's essentially the check-in.
User check-ins, correct.
Yeah. And you can see sort of like what, yeah. And let's take a look at the next 3 months. Or
Let's wait. Next 3 months.
yeah, okay. All right, there you go. All right, we can see already some activity in June, July, August. So there's a long tail of bookings starting from next year. I'm curious to know if there are domestic bookings or not. Typically, I'd imagine domestic bookings would happen much closer to the time of travel, but I guess we don't have that.
We do. Actually, yeah, it's not the summary, but from each of the individual booking, we can see that some are Indonesian, but most
are coming from abroad. Okay, so this is a good sign. This means that people are expecting to be able to arrive to Bali, and it means that they probably know something we don't know, right? If they're buying Airbnbs already, they probably bought tickets already by plane. If they bought tickets already by plane, they probably have access into the country already, right? Nobody buys a plane ticket without access. So I think this indicates, starting from probably now even, that foreign arrivals are already able to get into Bali.
Yep. There are some check-ins, and we can see it here. And yeah, maybe we are missing some information on the entry. But considering that a lot of our properties are still under flexible cancellation, sir, is it people will still ensure their access before buying plane tickets, right?
I don't know about that. I mean, why book something? Who books a hotel before they book a plane ticket, right? It just doesn't make any sense, right? It's like
Yep.
like if you don't even commit to go to the country, why would you commit to stay in the country? Okay, and who buys a plane ticket without knowing if they actually can get in, right? And then deal with cancellations and refunds later. So that, to me, or you know what, we can even just use data. We can just ask the people,
Yeah.
hey, how did you get access here? What I know so far is this, actually. There's 300 permits a day, Lilith, that the immigration offers for business visas. These are all sold out within 10 minutes, typically every day. My friend who processes the visas, they get 40 applications a day to process visas to come into Bali for the past 2 weeks, right? So almost like 400 applications in the past 2 weeks. So people are coming in. They're able to come in, but yeah, I think that part of the consciousness, we need to be a little bit more ready to believe it.
Okay. I think that's a quite long discussion for the data, but I think data are starting to matter again.
Yes. Yes, for pricing especially.
Yeah, for pricing especially. So that's that. But in the discussion management board, we're seeing some discussions. Okay, so yeah, we'll start from okay. Wait, did I write this one? No, it's this is the previous discussion, right, sir? Maybe we can start from this one, sir. Actually, from Booking.com.
This is a fun topic. So I went to the site after Vidi introduced it on the other day when we were talking about Booking.com algorithm ranking. Most of it's pretty intuitive, right? We've been on doing internet business for a while. We know that what the positive signals are, what the negative signals are. What I especially appreciate is that their dimensionality. So they created the relation to user satisfaction and also the amount of data points. That is exactly what we see with Airbnb too as well. We see exponential data points that have weak correlation to user experience, such as impressions. And then we have a very, very small number, relative speaking, of actual data points with a strong correlation to user experience, such as user reviews. So that was actually pretty cool. And they've also essentially planned, there you go. The delay to observe the signal, really good, and the bias is also really good. So that, I think, is a very intelligent way to classify and understand intuitively what's happening. the fact that they are also optimizing for user satisfaction, I think, is very telling to say that that's probably the KPI for the company, that they are looking to optimize user satisfaction. So I think if we align our, I don't know, what do you call it? I don't even know if we have a review section on Booking.com. Are we targeting a particular review rate? But if we align it, most likely we'll do really well on the platform because the platform will reward you for helping achieve their KPIs. That's just kind of natural, right? So we have a few clues here. We know that Booking.com is trying to rank for higher user satisfaction. It should come as no surprise. It's probably the same for Airbnb and Traveloka. And we know what the signals are typically. What's really interesting that I read this article was that they take everything that you did not click on and above as a negative signal. I thought that was actually pretty cool. Impression of a property in search results with no click, where the impression is above the property clicked, right? So you see all these different properties come down, you click on the 5th property, so basically the 1st to the 4th properties get a downward ranking based on that. That action alone downgrades the importance of all the previous results, which is probably what Google does now, right? If you think about it, if you think of a Google algorithm, how does number 4 result become number 1? Because everyone clicks on number 4 result, so number 1 to 3 result gets downgraded with a negative signal each time that happens. So I thought that was actually really, this is very clear, and it's a good way to understand how algorithms work. Okay, anyways, I'm open for discussion. Does anyone see any other insights?
Yep. So thank you very much, sir, for that insight for Booking.com. And Liz, maybe you have any response for that one?
It's basically the optimizing the feedback loop cycles, right?
Yes, but we now know some of the KPI for user satisfaction for the KPI of Booking.com. Just out of curiosity, sir, do we have any idea for Airbnb, like a definite idea, like
You know what, sir? I have a very funny feeling that they're all built out of the Google search algorithm,
I see.
right? Because remember, Kim got his inspiration from the Google search algorithm. If you look at this sounds like how a Google search algorithm works too as well. If you apply that understanding, it's essentially the same thing, right?
Yep.
Probably, okay, so like if you take a look at, let's say, Google businesses on maps, we were talking about that yesterday in marketing. How does a business get a higher ranking? It's essentially the bottom signal, right? How many people write good reviews about that business based on the search, conversion, and then the experience. Problem with Google is that it's not authentic. So they don't do the transaction, so they cannot actually prove whether or not this person actually consumed any service on this property, right? But that being said, I do believe that the world of search results is a very small world now. I think it's probably like ice cream, right? So everybody starts with the same material. You just add a different flavoring, and that creates the Booking.com flavor. You add a different flavoring, and that creates the Airbnb flavor. You add a different flavoring, and it becomes the Traveloka flavor. But the base mechanism, I think, is probably shared across all major search engines. And if I'm not mistaken, Vidi, that's the way that code reuse would be done too as well, right? You probably would not want to reinvent the wheel each single time at scale. So you probably use technology, understanding that had already been proven to work
Yes.
for those layers.
Yep. So I think that's a safe assumption, kind of like that they will kind of use the same underlying framework and just adjust it a little bit to depending on their core values, right?
Depending upon their KPIs that they want to particularly optimize, depending upon the funnel that they set the KPI points, checkpoints in the funnel, and then they just monitor that. They optimize around those particular checkpoints.
Yep. So that's and yeah, for Liz, is that quite clear, or do you have to still explore on your own for.
Mm,
You just have to read more.
Google search algorithm means it applies on booking.com, or the booking.com listing is actually easy to find in Google search.
Oh no. So Google has this technology to rank things, and Airbnb use the same technology. Booking.com uses the same technology and just alter a little bit stuff.
All right. Then, I mean, what is actually we can take from that? That's my questions.
Mm.
So first, maybe we look at the signals, and we consider the number of frequency that we have. Is a
Yes.
big one. And then if it's not, let's say we have a large, I believe we have a large property click like on booking.com, but it's a week, for
Yep.
example, then we don't have to improve it anymore. But then if we have the number for this strong one, if we have a small one, maybe we can try to uh, like increase the number of frequency. But currently, the one of the difficulty is on this funnel, right? From property click to reservation.
Yes.
So maybe from here we know that we can optimize the very small number here, such that this can actually look back. So, have you figured out the strategy to acquire review from Booking.com list since the review system changed?
The review system.
I mean, since the communication system changed.
The communication means from our HR. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe now Booking.com provide like a
A chat?
I'm not sure. Yeah, chat box, or they kind of like hide the number, the phone number of the.
It's actually I observe it the same. The other that different is actually booking.com first hide it. I mean for some, yeah, first hide the number, but if we ask the number, they will provide it. But actually the chat, perhaps what booking.com wants to do is optimizing the chat on booking.com.
Yes.
That's my guess
So
basically.
we have to like translate the practices we have in Airbnb to Booking.com because it's essentially
Yeah.
applying the same technology right now, right?
Yeah, but actually before our host was communicating through WhatsApp because there's a number and also easier to reach. But because sometimes also the guest doesn't reply when we send a message on booking.com. That's basically the reason why we continue on WhatsApp, which is more visible to the guest basically. Yeah, but today if we don't have the number, we're still doing chat on the booking.com site.
I see.
Like Airbnb basically.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe any feedback from the others? Any from Noval? Do you have any feedbacks for this particular topic on the optimization
I
of
don't
book?
think so. I think everything is clear from me.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much, Noval. Maybe for Fira? From Fira? Any feedbacks?
No, no. I don't think I have anything to say from this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe from Mr. Jing, any summary or insights or to do?
No, like to get back to Lilith, basically I would say to be able to take these signals, there's probably two layers where you can apply it. One is to intuit it, right? So you kind of learn these signals and now you're plugged in. Now you know that essentially when your listing doesn't show up, let's say at the top, or let's say somebody your listing is ranked number 1, but somebody clicks on number 4, right? Then essentially you that action alone has caused your ranking to drop. And let's say, for example, you are getting less dwell time on your listing than another listing, then that causes your ranking to drop. So okay, let's say you're not getting reviews as much as another listing or some threshold. That's causing your listing to drop. So what that means is that if you know that, you can plan KPIs to avoid that, right? You can start thinking about, all right, content. What is, let's say, the depth of the carousel? Say it's 20 pictures. Make it 50 pictures and make sure that the last 30 are more interesting than the first 20, right? Then that would get essentially somebody to dwell longer on the listing, and that would significantly improve your ability to rank on search results. Okay, hero photo. I currently see the top hero photos that I'm seeing right now in search, and ours is not as sparkly as the other four that are above us. How can we get it so that we pop more? How can we use color? How can we use graphics? How can we use something to really bring somebody in to click on it, right? Title, same thing as well. So you know that essentially these are the key checkpoints you need to be able to cross in order to be able to get there. And this is essentially the communication you would have with your content team, with your marketing team. Give me this kind of like thing so that it always gets clicked on in the group before. Give me this type of length so that I will increase my dwell time on the particular listing. So all these are essentially the intelligence that is required to then guide the construction of the content and the content strategy.
Let's see. Okay, so because from what I know, the content team is not really working much with Booking.com because of some limitations, perhaps, on the naming.
Yeah.
But maybe we can explore that part with us. Okay. Yep. Thank you very much. I think that's quite a lot of discussion, and we've found some insights for that one. We still have time to discuss maybe one or two more discussions. Yes, for this one, sir.
Sure. Okay. This is something that I spoke with Lilith this morning, and I noticed that as business intelligence, I think you guys should track the conversion rates over time. And the reason for that is that's really how you guys know if you're doing better or worse, right? Remember, the campaign's doing better or worse is essentially you can say that's a contribution of everybody, okay? But is the conversion rates over time getting better or worse? That's where your sort of input comes in. If we see the conversion rates at a particular SLA was at 20%, and now it's at 50%, that is essentially I would say that's a BI achievement, right? Because you're able to raise that conversion rate. Whether the campaign is doing good or bad, that's mostly like a campaign manager's achievement, right? Because you could say that, they were able to balance one deficiency with forwards. So I'm measuring it so that it's a little bit more clear what the goal is. And so you guys don't get bored, right? Say that I have no achievement. Because what I've seen is in certain conversion rates, there definitely has been achievement. It's much higher than it ever was before. And I think that is due to good planning, good intelligence, and good whatever, right? Good work. Then there's other one, and maybe you're not giving yourself credit for those. And then there's other cases where it really hasn't changed that much, right? Does everyone know what a positively sloping sinusoid wave looks like? I don't know if that makes sense, right? Positive sloping sinusoid wave looks like this, okay? This is a normal sinusoid wave, up, down, right? It kind of bounces around some middle value. So that middle value is essentially the SLA. Essentially, that should be essentially what the SLA is, right? Let's say you're looking for a 25% conversion rate. 1 week it's at 30, the next week it's at 22, next week it's at 29, next week it's at 21, but it sort of sinusoids around 25, okay? I think what BI should do is a sloping up sinusoid, right? So it kind of goes like up, down, but there's a trend that brings it upwards so that it never dips below a certain number after a certain amount of time. That the floor of that wave is at, let's say, the ceiling of the wave a month ago, right? So that would essentially, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Wow, that's what I'm talking about. Great. That is how you know you're making progress for each of the SLAs that you are coaching the particular group at. And it helps you also understand the expectations of what each person can do. If they can keep that sinusoid going, it means that they're really good, right? Okay, that's it. That's my discussion opener.
Yep. Thank you very much for the opening, sir. So from this, do you have any updates or do you keep track of your month-to-month growth in your campaigns?
Mm, Actually, I haven't like documented in other what is that in other form rather than the screenshot itself. I haven't made like the graph like this, but yes, we're planning to do that. And actually, would you would we like to track it weekly or monthly or perhaps every scrum? That's perhaps. And also if it is weekly, then we have to reset the data, but when it is monthly, yes, it's still possible, I guess, to do
Yep.
so.
Okay. So yeah, this comes back to the discussion we had for the campaign scrum. Did we decide to reset the counter or not for the BI? No, yeah, for the campaigns during the campaign scrum, sir.
I think we decided not to, right?
Decided not
So
to, but BI will keep track of the changes, right?
and that's how you keep track of the changes, right?
Yes.
So you're keeping track of the first derivative, which is essentially, are the actual conversion rates improving over time? Or are they just kind of stuck over time? If the conversion rates are improving over time, then you can clearly say, I'm achieving, right? Because I'm helping the process become more efficient. I don't think, to answer Lila's question, you need to do this weekly. In fact, you could just probably do it once not once a year, but once a quarter even, or just whenever you want to check in and see if you're making progress. I'm sure Vidi could probably take something really smart, like an OCR, take all the screenshots that we've put down before, pass that through the OCR, probably create all the data points that you would need then to look at week-to-week progress, or not even week-to-week progress, update to update progress and see what is this actually changing. So I just noticed that today, actually, when I was bringing Cinta in for marketing. I noticed that, oh my God, we got 50% better on a lot of these conversions than we started 3 weeks or 6 weeks ago, right? Back in September. Yeah, that was about 6 weeks ago. So I was actually quite pleased. I was like, hey, that's good. But nobody knew that. Right? Nobody remembered that. And Shinta was like, oh yeah, we're not doing so good because we're only going up by 0.5%. But then I noticed, did you realize we went up 0.5% for almost 6 weeks? And that ultimately is a really good thing. And that should not be forgotten, I think, right? Or discredited or whatever. So we did notice, once you start plotting it this way, you reach a natural limitation.
Yep.
So the limitation seems to be around, let's say, 50% on certain response to meeting conversions, which is really good. But we also know that it's probably fully optimized at this point using the existing method. And that's how we can also decide, all right, this is stable now, I can leave this behind, and I can work on something else. Which gets me to the other question, right? Okay, anyways, that's just a form of visualization I'd like to create more awareness for.
Yep. Okay. For this one, then maybe Liz and I will we'll look back to track the data from previous one and check the monthly, Liz, or weekly.
I think I have to check again. How is it possible to?
Whether it's possible to check weekly or not, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for your answer. Yep. And that's that actually. And actually, we went over time by 1 minute. But just so, sir, do you still want to do a little bit about this one, or?
Sure. Supply versus advertised guest house. No, that's okay. Cancellation pace. Okay. Limit. Yeah, cancellation pace is decreasing because people are able to get in now. So that's my best explanation for why the cancel. I don't need to cancel, right? I can get into Bali. I just need to pay. So there's no point. Later. Okay. And then the only other thing is your forecast for January and December. So this is good. We can take a look at this forecast actually at the end of the month and see, does the forecast change as well? And then that also really becomes another way of knowing if we're doing better or worse. If our forecasts always upgrade us, then we are a upwardly moving company, right?
Yes,
If the
it's
forecast,
upgraded, sir. Yeah, I
yeah.
think we've discussed this before, like last month. We know that it upgrades. The forecast upgrades actually.
Okay, well, let's track how much it upgrades us by, and then that I think becomes our benchmark of truth. We can
Yes.
say, okay, we're doing good because the forecast seems to give us a better ending up point, and Holt's winter is accurate in that sense, right? And then you can have the forecast on that forecast, right? You can track your growth on that and see if your growth is reliable, and then that becomes another input you can put
Yep.
into the
You
right?
forecast the difference between the actual higher one compared to the forecast, and then you forecast the difference.
Yeah, which would be kind of fun in a way.
Yep. So that sounds fun. Okay, so I think that's all the discussions that we have for today actually, and we passed by 2 minutes, but I think that's okay. Thank you very much for listening, everyone, and thank you very much for this week. Good luck and see you guys on Campaign Scrum, and welcome to Naval and also David.
Welcome, Nuffle and David. Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you.
And okay, Lilith, do you know where to upload the video?
Actually, no.
Okay,
On YouTube. I know I can access the YouTube account using this, right?
okay. You can access the. Oh, we have two YouTube accounts actually.